Welcome to our channel on near-death experiences, NDEs. We'll explore stories of people who've been on the brink between life and death, returning with new perspectives. These accounts offer a unique glimpse into existence, life's meaning, and the universe. Each video is a journey through transformative experiences and spiritual discovery. We're creating a space of understanding and sharing for these extraordinary stories. Whether you're here out of curiosity or seeking comfort, we hope to bring you peace and awareness. Join us on this journey of spiritual exploration. Every moment is an opportunity to grow and love. Thank you for being here with us.
We were 3 sisters. The eldest, whose name I don't remember, died of brain cancer at the age of 7, on January 6, 1960. Our births were all spaced 3.5 years apart. Around 2 weeks before the end of December 1993, I was taking care of my sister, who was ill with stomach cancer. My dying sister was 33 years old, and we were inseparable. One night I went to sleep because I suffer from narcolepsy. I was in the medical center, but it had nothing to do with my illness. While sleeping, I heard my older sister's voice in a dream. It was so reassuring to me. She spoke to me. "Tell Jody not to be afraid of dying. When the time comes, I'll be there. Tell her to look for my blue hand." Then she said, "You'll be with her because Mom saw me die in her arms and she couldn't bear it. Everyone will be in the room, including the nurses, but don't worry, I'll take care of it. You'll know when the time comes. Now, since you're suffering from narcolepsy this week, you need to go to the florist and order a big heart that says, 3 sisters, 1 heart. Then prepare your black clothes for the outfit. Choose the person who should take the calls because we have a large family. Tell Jody that if she doesn't see what you've told her at the time of her death, then you'll go with her." Then she declared, "You won't be sick during her agony, but then we'll have to give you back the narcolepsy." I woke up, feeling peaceful yet frightened. I did what she had asked. At the beginning of the first week of January 1994, that morning, my sister asked the nurse to call me from the next room. I was about to go to sleep because I had been with her all night. She told me to go to my mother. We were close. She was sitting up and awake, in her semi-comatose state. Her hands were shaking. She said, "Kim, I'm having hallucinations like you. I'm scared." I put my arm around her. She said, "Hold me." "No, not like that, come into the bed. I want to show you how you should hold me." Then she let her body fall onto my arm and slipped back into a semi-conscious state. I turned to my mother and said, "I'm not moving from here." It was around January 3rd. I thought she would die on January 6th too. On the morning of January 5th, she woke up. I had never moved. I held her hand for these 2 days. I wasn't sleeping, but I was fine. She asked me to call my father from work. He rushed home. She got up to hug him and thanked him for giving her life. She loved my mother too much to say goodbye. She always said, "I can't believe I'm about to do this," like Anna, my older sister. I replied, "You didn't know you were going to die." After hugging my father and before falling back into a coma, she said, "Now I can go to the Creator." On Thursday, January 6th, around 11 a.m., she woke up and screamed my name. My hand was still holding hers. She turned and said, "Kim, I love you." She remained in a coma until Saturday, January 8th. She thus reached the age of 33.5, because she was born on June 8th. It was about 2:30 p.m. My parents, her husband, her 2-year-old daughter, and the nurses were in the room. Suddenly my father felt nauseous. The child started crying, and her husband took her out of the room. My mother smelled something burning. I knew the time had come. I told her nurse. The nurse said she was still breathing. I lifted her, placed her body across mine, then put St. Jude, her patron saint, in her hands. Then I said, "Jody, the time has come." Anna said to look for Grandma, Grandpa, and her blue hand, and not to let go until you see them. "If you don't see them, I'll come with you." I asked, "Do you see Anna's blue hand?" She opened her eyes, smiled, nodded, then died. I then laid her down and had a partial paralysis attack. I couldn't move from the waist down. The nurse was pulling me away and I shouted, "No, I have to do this." Being a respiratory therapist, I brought her back. The cancer had burst, and black was flowing from her mouth and nose. I brought her back and hugged her. I turned my head towards our 3 photos above my mother's bed and suddenly felt a warm, intense, and beautiful feeling. My sister had left her body while I was still hugging her. She floated out of the room in a yellow muslin dress that I could draw every detail of. My grandparents were by her side, and a blue hand floated above her head. Before leaving, she blew me a kiss. I then had a paralysis attack, a total loss of muscle tone for 2 hours. That night in my apartment I told my husband, if only I knew she didn't suffer. She didn't contract, and I pressed the morphine pump for an extra dose, but how could I know? That night I slept. I was the most lively. She never scolded me. She appeared above the closet in the same dress and said, "You idiot, I had to come all the way back from heaven to tell you that I didn't suffer, that you supported me properly. I love you, thank you. When I have something to tell you, I'll always come back to you. You know how disfigured I was by cancer. When you look at me tomorrow night in my coffin, you'll see me even as beautiful as I was on my wedding day. They knew you loved me and that you would have held me until you were sure I had gone to heaven. At my death, you saw it well. Tell Mom that she's the luckiest woman in the world because her 2 angels in heaven have shown paradise to her angels on earth." That evening at the funeral, she was as beautiful as she had predicted. There was no trace of chemotherapy or disfigurement. She was splendid. Her husband left 2 days later with their 2-year-old daughter. My parents fought for custody. It was my sister's wish that the child live with us. She died with a heavy heart because of this. We fought for custody but lost. I visit my niece 1 week a month. Sometimes the child is sick or crying, then I see my sister crying in overlay, or I dream that she says, my child, my child." Then I call my niece and she's sad. Once, she went to the cemetery, to her grave to see some peach-colored roses. I was about to leave when suddenly there was a gust of wind and a door slammed. She's buried in a covered mausoleum. I heard her speak in my head but with my voice. She said, "Come back," and on the ground was a red rose with a long stem. I looked at her photo on the mausoleum and could hear her say, "I couldn't forget your anniversary." My anniversary is January 18th, and my 2 sisters died in January. Many other things have happened since her death. I've spoken to priests, and they tell me she gave me a special gift. However, I haven't become a saint, I just pray for her intention, and I had never believed in the afterlife until her death.
If you enjoyed this video or you're interested in the topics we cover on this channel, I'd be really grateful if you could subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future content. Share the video with someone you think might appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support. Preface: near-death experiences, NDEs, can be profound, life-changing events. Remember, NDEs are subjective experiences, not proof of an afterlife or a guide for living. Channel purpose: this channel shares NDE stories and information, providing a platform for open discussion without promoting specific beliefs. Disclaimer: this content doesn't replace professional medical or psychological advice. If struggling with mental health issues, seek professional help immediately. If you've had an NDE and need support, consult a therapist experienced with NDEs. We don't promote suicide or self-harm. If considering suicide, contact a prevention lifeline immediately. Suicide prevention resources: National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 1-800-273-8255. Crisis text line, text HOME to 741741. Conclusion: we hope you find this channel informative. For questions, please contact us. Remember, suicide prevention is crucial. If you're struggling, seek help. You're not alone.